Welcome to Satsang.
Hello, Vishrant. Can you please talk about the peace and become?
Okay, Tosh, you broke up really badly and I couldn't hear your question. Sorry.
Can you please talk about the peace in becoming no one?
Okay, so you've got technical difficulties, Tosh. I heard the question that time, but it was also broken up. I think you need to bring your computer down here, mate, so I can hear you physically.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, Tosh. Yeah, just breaking up. So what was the question?
Can you talk about the peace in becoming no one?
Ah. You already are no one. It's not like you're a somebody, really. Without your imagination, you don't exist. And so becoming no one, it's not a possibility because you already are a no one. My experience with being a no one is that happens after awakening. It doesn't happen before awakening. Before awakening, you're ego-based. There's an I there that thinks it's doing something, that thinks it's done something, and thinks it's going to do something. After awakening, that drops, and there's a sense that there's nobody here. And so there's no one here. There's talking, but there's nobody talking. It's different. And yes, it's peaceful because the noise maker is not here. The I, the one that thinks it has a future, thinks it had a past, the one that worries, the one that grieves, it's gone. And yeah, peace, profound contentment for no reason. But this is a side effect of enlightenment. It's not something the ego can actually do because it's an absence of the ego. Because awareness is aware of itself. And the mind can't possibly believe the ego to be real. Are there any questions? Any statements? Any challenges to this teaching today?
The first question is from Depesh.
Hello.
Hello. Do you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Yes. My question is, for last many years, I was misunderstood the term spirituality. It was sharpening my ego. The moment I hear you, you said it is not, the term is not right. The truth is the right thing. And I understood it in a different way. Just like this, for last many years, because of the knowledge I gained from the also books and everything, the term surrender, it was also completely misunderstood. That actually in your last session, last class, you were telling that you are trying to control your mind. It is not the surrender. So could you please suggest me what, in a different way, what surrender is and how can we achieve this?
Okay. Well, to begin with, surrender is a non-doing. And so someone throws something at you and there's no reaction, there's no doing. There may be a response, but there's no reaction. The mind is surrendered. Or someone insults you and there's no movement in the mind, it just stays still. This is surrender. And this is a mind that has basically been undone. To get to this, the practice of acceptance of life as it is, acceptance of people as they are, and dropping everything that we hold onto works. But only the practice. No amount of collected knowledge can teach us surrender. No amount of collected knowledge can heal a wound to the heart. And so if we practice acceptance of life as it is, all the things that we don't like, if we practice accepting them, we can learn surrender. And we fail a lot when we're practicing. Someone who has been successful at it has just practiced a great deal, that's all. Because it's against our survival mechanism to surrender, to be surrendered. It's against our survival mechanism to accept life as it is. We're fighters. We're born as fighters. We're born to resist. But we, because we're intelligent, can learn to accept life and learn to drop things, let things go. We can learn to do that. And if we practice it long enough, we get good at it. It is simple as that.
Okay. From your past, like I was communicating with you before also. You were suggesting me to focus on the breath, and I was doing till yesterday, like it was going well. And every time I was doing something, I was focused on my breath, I was doing my things, I was aware on the marketplace. But yesterday, suddenly, something about the past came in that level that I couldn't do anything, and it did to that level that I couldn't sleep the whole night, and and this is continuing till now also. What can I do in this kind of things? Can this make even problem in this way, or I am doing in a wrong way?
So you always begin with acceptance. If you can't sleep, you accept that you can't sleep. If your mind is bothering you, you accept that your mind is bothering you. You always begin with acceptance rather than resistance to what is. And in so doing so, you're teaching the mind to let go. You're teaching it to stop talking to itself. Because when we fully accept situations, the mind has nothing to say about it. It's only when we're in resistance to life that the mind is very active. And so in learning to accept, in learning to let go, the mind learns to relax.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anything more?
No, I will keep practicing. And thank you so much for
Nice
kind
to
help.
talk to you. Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you.
The next question is from Susha.
Hello, Susha.
Hi, Vishrant.
Hello.
I miss talking to you. So, Vishrant, when you say undo the mind and undo your belief systems, it seems to me that if I'd agreed that I was not always right, the whole righteousness, and dropped that, it could drop practically every belief system. What do you think about that?
I'll bring you back to what I was just saying. It's about acceptance. If we accept life as it is, we can still make moves to change things if we want to, but from a place of openness rather than a place of closure. And so it's all about acceptance. Not much else, really. Can you accept life as it is, or are you going to resist it? So if you're having a disagreement with your daughter, for instance sake, can you accept the way she is, accept what she has to say, accept yourself, and still not agree? Because you can. But you'll find that if you do it that way, you're practicing openness, because you'll be coming from openness rather than closure. If all we do is practice closure, I'm right, you're wrong, without acceptance, well, basically it's war. And that doesn't teach the mind anything except war. If we want to learn anything of value, and what I see as valuable is surrender, we have to practice acceptance. It doesn't necessarily mean that we agree with anything. So we can still hold an opinion that something is not correct, but can we do it from a place of acceptance that that's what is, and a place of openness? And that's what we have to learn.
Okay, yes. I feel like my mind is tricky. It jumps to saying I'm wrong, but maybe inside the behavior hasn't changed. The openness is not there. It's just using the words.
Yeah, well, you might not be wrong, you might be right.
Well, if it comes to my daughter, maybe you're right.
But can you bring acceptance into it? Acceptance of her, acceptance of what she's saying, acceptance of what she's doing, and acceptance of yourself at the same time. It's like acceptance is the key. It teaches the mind to let go. It teaches the mind to relax.
Okay. I can try that.
Yeah.
And I can totally try that. And Vishrant, for the last few days, it takes me very long time to come to the space, and it takes me just few minutes to sit with you to find the space. This is amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Susha. When I was a seeker, I was always wanting to sit with my awakened teachers, because what I would have to do, it would take me 2 hours in meditation to find the space. But within a few seconds of sitting with one of my awake teachers, I could find it. And so I used to value that. It allowed me to find home very quickly, and allowed a great deal of clarity. The clarity helps in removing the obstacles, because you get to see them. You get to see what's in the way. And so satsang allows the clarity for you to see the obstacles that are in the way of the heart and in the way of enlightenment. And so sitting with someone who's awake is a really good idea.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
If I sell my car, house, and most of my possessions, have I become a nobody?
I doubt very much whether that question's coming through this mic, because I'm wearing a lapel mic and it would probably only be picking up my voice.
Yeah. If I turn on this mic, it'll feedback.
Right, so,
You can see the questions on the screen.
okay, you might need to come and sit next to me then. That way my lapel mic will pick you up, because you're a bit far away over there, Tosh. Okay.
Question is, if I sell my car, house, and most of my possessions, have I become a nobody?
Heck no. You probably think you're the somebody who sold your car and your possessions and your house. No, that's not how you become a nobody. That's how you become poor. And I was with this amazing awakened man, Osho Rajneesh, who said we need to become like Zorba the Buddha. We need to find the Buddha within, but also the Zorba, be in the marketplace, be out here, have the cars, have the houses, have the possessions, but don't be attached to them. It's attachment that's the problem, not having things. Having things is fine. It's the attachment that causes the suffering, that causes the imprisonment. There's nothing wrong with having things. So in Buddhism, quite often the monks will give up everything. I'll just have a saffron robe and a Buddhist begging bowl and maybe some beads, some sandals, a bit of bedding. And that's one way to go about it. But I don't teach monks. I teach lay people. I teach people who are in the marketplace, who have jobs, who have families, who have commitments. And there's a way. But being attached to things is a problem. Learning to let go only occurs through practice, nothing else.
The next question is from Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Vish. How are you?
I'm always the same, Sarah.
Yeah. My question is, in the last couple of days, I've really noticed the mother wound within myself.
I'm not sure what that wound would be. I understand you have a definition of the mother wound, but I don't. So could you let me know what that means?
Recognizing my contraction and belief systems that I recognize that I have mimicked from my mother. I recognize.
So you're talking about programming then, that you've actually copied off your mother.
Okay, yep.
So wounding's a little different. Wounding's where there's actually stored pain somewhere, trauma or just from repression. On top of that stored pain, there can be belief systems, programs, but the programs themselves aren't wounding.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Apologies. Wrong wording there. In regards to that recognition from seeing myself, seeing that I have picked up those behaviours from her, is what is required to basically accept those.
Yeah.
Is there anything? Okay.
Oh, heck yeah. Look, this is what set me on the path in a lot of ways. I had, at the age of 19, I got involved in an encounter group, and I had a look at my programming, and I recognized that a lot of it I'd got from my mother. And I realized that a lot of it created suffering in my life. And so I went about changing it because I didn't want to continue negative programming that was hurting me.
Yeah.
And so, she was very victim orientated. My whole family was quite victim orientated. And so one of the first programs that I changed inside of myself was this victim orientation. I refuse to be a victim. Full stop. Why would I want to be a victim? You have to volunteer to be a victim, because basically things happen. They can be good, they can be bad. If they're bad, something, it might touch us, something might touch us, but we make ourselves feel, not what's happened. And so we are totally 100% responsible for our own feelings. The world can't make me feel, only I can make me feel. And I'm responsible for that, so I can't blame anyone for that. And in not blaming, I'm not being a victim. So that was the first pattern that I removed, that I saw was a family pattern. And it was a tragic pattern because it just creates nothing but suffering. It changes nothing in the world. I didn't want to keep it, so I started changing it. I got to tell you though, to change that particular pattern took me a couple of years of practice because it was entrenched. And then you go out into Australian society, and victim-orientated thinking is very, very prominent. It's not uncommon at all to run into people who just want to tell you their sad story about how their life isn't working. And then you go back and you tell them your sad story about how your life is not working. And this is how a lot of communication happens. But really, every time we do that, we hurt ourselves.
I've noticed that there seems to be maybe identical or similar belief patterns projected at certain men, which I see to be similar that my mother had in regards to my father.
Well, that could be true too. I picked up most of my patterning from my mother because I didn't have that much to do with my dad, but because he was out a fair bit. But when I examined it, it was a real good idea to remove some of it. There's a beautiful book by Nancy Friday called My Mother, Myself that you could read. It talks all about this subject, how we picked all our patterns up from mum and how those patterns are now hurting us because they're not healthy patterns, and how we will transfer them to our own children if we don't correct them inside ourselves.
Myself and my mum, is that what it's called?
My mother, myself.
My mother, myself.
By Nancy Friday. When I worked as a psychotherapist, I wouldn't see a client until they had actually read that book, because I wanted them to get an understanding of how they were programmed and why they were programmed and why they were acting out now.
Yeah, thank you. I'll acquire a copy.
It's up to you. It's up to you. Yeah, one of the things is you can get involved with a lot of groups around the world, Australia, everywhere else, and a lot of these groups are very victim-orientated groups where they support people in victim-orientated thinking, and all that does is creates more wounding and hurts you.
Don't need that.
No, you don't. The people you hang out with, it's quite important because they're going to affect you a great deal.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Sarah?
No. Thank you, Vish.
Okay, bye-bye.
The next question is from Abay.
Hello, Abay.
Hi, Vishrant. Vishrant, why do I find it difficult to practice let go and openness with the people I know than with the strangers? It is easier to practice with the strangers than the people.
Yeah, I agree. But the reason for it's very simple. The people who are close to you, you care about them. And they're the ones that can really get to you because you care. With a stranger, you don't care so much. It's like you won't be seeing them again, or you won't be seeing them often. With people who you care about, usually they're in your life. And so you're going to see them probably every day. I learned more about surrender and more about acceptance from my partners than anyone else because they were in my life. They're the people who could get me. They were the people that could do things and say things that would touch me. Now, I could either relax and move to acceptance, or I could go into resistance and create suffering for myself. And so I chose to accept them as they were, to accept what they were doing, to not go into contraction, to not go into resistance. It took quite a long time and a lot of practice, but after a while, I got good at it because I practiced it. And so my best teachers in this world were my partners, the people I shared my life with.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Because they could get me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anything else, Abby?
That's all. Thank you very much, Vishrant. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Nice to talk to you, Abby.
Nice to talk to you too.
The next question has been written by Depesh. Is there any difference between being present with you where you are now and having you live on the internet? Is the Buddha field the same in the two?
Well, I don't know because I'm here and you're there. And if I was there and then I could come back here, I could probably tell you, but I can't do that yet. I've heard that some awakened teachers from the past have been able to be in two places at once, but I just haven't got there. So I can't help you with that. But I have had reports back from people saying that they are blown away by the presence through the internet. I have no idea how that works, but it was also my experience when talking to my teachers through the internet. It's always better to be in the living presence of someone who's awake. It's always better to be close. But if not, if you can't get close, the internet does hold a transmission, and that transmission can give you the clarity and expand your mind. It has the potential to give Satori. So use it.
What's the fastest way to attain peace as an ego?
Accept life as it is. It's that simple. The moment you accept life, there's peace. The moment you resist life, there is disruption, there is noise, there is pain. Peace, well, it's actually our true nature. Beingness is peace. But if we want peace of mind, accept life as it is. Stop fighting. Stop resisting. Let go. This works. Resistance, holding on, fighting also works. But it works to make you unhappy. Let go, let go, let go.
The next question has been written by Kelly. Is it possible for you to describe the stages of how a thinking is formed during the subtle stages that we can be alert?
Thinking tends to be a remembrance from the past. It's all related to what we've learnt before. And so in being present to the moment, you've left the past behind. You've left the future, well, it hasn't come. Moving into the moment allows a freshness. And in the moment, a thought arises. It comes from the nothingness, but it comes from programming that has been put in there over a lifetime. Because you won't get a thought arising in a newborn baby. They haven't developed the patterning yet. They haven't had the history yet to make it relevant. All thoughts come from the past, memory of the past. And so the process is just that. Whatever affects us in the moment reminds us of something. We bring up memory, and then we bring up thought. It's so quick. If you train your mind to be present to what is real, you start finding that thoughts aren't there so much. And so as a young man, I started training my mind to be present to what is real. Everything is real except what you think. And in being present to what is real, there was a great deal of freshness, peace, clarity. When all we do is keep our awareness on what we think, we basically live in a dream that kills our clarity, takes us away from what is real and puts us in touch with a dream that quite often is problematic. And so I got to see this when I was very young, and I fell in love with the present moment. Initially through extreme sports, racing bikes, rallying cars, underwater diving, martial arts, rugby, anything that was dangerous, basically, until I realized that we actually don't have to be in danger to be present. We can train our minds to be present so we don't live constantly in thought. Most people think that you can't do that. They think that, well, thoughts are there all the time. But really, if you watch your mind, you see there's quite a lot of blanks. There's a lot of times when there isn't any thought. You're just there. You're just present. Now, we go to what's aware of that? What's aware of the thoughts? What's aware of the gap between the thoughts? And now we're starting to turn awareness back to itself. What's aware is more important than knowing where the thoughts came from. Thoughts come, they go like clouds. What's aware of these thoughts? Because that does not come and go. That is always here. And when awareness turns back on itself, home has been found. Thoughts are just a distraction. They're like looking at the clouds in the sky and missing the sky. Let's see what the sky is like. You've had looking at the clouds long enough. Whether thoughts come from here or they come from there or how they're processed, that just gives you more knowledge. That doesn't help you become more conscious. That doesn't help you wake up. Find what is aware of those thoughts. Find what is aware of the gap between the thoughts. What's this that's aware? Now this is interesting. This is sky. This is your own true nature.
The next question is from Vijit.
Hello.
Hi, Vishrant, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I have lots of questions, but I'll just, as usual, just think of this moment and come up with what I'm feeling in this moment. Okay. So I feel better since I talked to you last week. I feel that, yes, I have to start a routine as soon as I wake up, do something with it. I've been doing it. I've been working out as soon as I wake up, and it gets better. I have this one question that sometimes I do get present when I'm sitting and my mind becomes clear, and And this thing that you were talking in just in the last question, that you practice. I find that being attentive to your own breath is a very initially it sounds easy, but constantly being aware of your breath is a very hard task, especially when things around you bring you back, tries to drag you back to past or maybe towards the future or things that you're supposed to do in a day. And so my actual question is, how do you actually manifest something which you know is important for you, but still be not attached with the outcome? Let's just say I want to manifest my in the coming few months. I want something that is valuable, and I need that thing.
Okay,
Now there's
so say you want a glass of water and you want to manifest it. Well, you get up and you go to a tap and you pour yourself a glass of water into a glass that you found in a cupboard. That's how you do it. You make it so.
yes. Yeah, I mean, okay. So mine is constantly running, right? And when I bring my attention to my breath, then it's fine. But if I'm trying to manifest something, let's just say, okay, I have summer coming over and I need an internship. I need to make X amount of effort to get that. And I know that, okay, resume, yes, that's the first thing. Then applications, that's the second thing. You get rejections, you learn from them, and then you update something in your work, and then again reapply. I mean, that's very clear. That's how you get anything, especially if you want an internship or any job. But the thing is, when you actually keep on thinking in one direction, there comes a mind where your mind becomes burned out, and it just keeps on beating itself after a certain point that what do I do now? You're just stuck, and that happens quite a lot often. I just don't know how to get around it.
Well, you started by talking about how tiring it is to keep watching the breath. And it can be, but that's only because you've been living in your head for so long. And to change that pattern is going to take a bit of discipline. That's what meditation is. It's a discipline which goes against the pattern that you've been doing for a long time, which has been dreaming. For me, I wanted to get back in touch with reality. So at the age of 34, I took my shoes off and walked around Australia for 4 years barefoot. And I did that because I wanted to feel the earth under my feet. Because when we feel the earth under our feet, we're feeling something that is real. It is another way to meditate because we're putting awareness on what is real. And when you're barefooted, if you aren't careful, you're going to hurt your feet, particularly walking around Australia. And so it allowed me to practice being present to my feet and to my breath continuously for about 4 years, which allowed me to gain a great deal of present moment awareness.
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, what I feel from your talk is that, yes, it is not an easy task. In the beginning, it does sound that, okay, putting your attention on one object is easy, but then after a certain point, it becomes hard. Okay, when I feel like these days I'm feeling better, but the moment I talk to people, let's just say to my parents, I mean, they are still suffering. And I feel like, especially when you talk to your mother, I mean, she has been a depression patient. And when I talk to her, I feel like I take her thoughts in me after a certain point. And that kind of distracts me. Like, I feel bad about that. I mean, I feel empathy, if that's what you want to say it, but I feel like it's a very useless emotion. when you start empathizing with people, and it just kind of drags you down.
Yeah, because you're buying the story. You see, when people give you sad stories, that's just what it is, a sad story. It's not really a reality or a truth. People love sharing their misery, unfortunately, but you don't have to buy it. You can listen to it without buying it. If you buy it, if you go into it with them, you're lost in the dream just as much as they are. And so I can listen to people's sad stories without entering their dream. And as a matter of fact, I never enter their dream, because that's all it is. It's a dream. But once you enter it, then you get this very strong energy connection as well, and it locks the energy that the person who's talking, which is probably some form of misery, into yourself.
Yes.
It's like
one thing I noticed when I talk to my mother, I mean, I listen to her because she suffered a loss of a child, and that I understand that, okay, that is something that no parent should witness, but unfortunately that's how life is, and for some parents
yeah, but you're telling me a sad story right now, and that's all it is. It's a sad story. But if I was to go into it and start feeling the pain of it, I'm starting to produce that inside myself.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
Story. Yeah, I'm not buying your story. I'm listening to you, but I'm not buying it, because it's just a story. You're just making it up as you're going along. It's not happening now.
Yes.
Which means it's not real.
Yes, that's true. I feel like, okay, when I talk to my mother, she kind of wants me to validate her thoughts. Like, if I don't validate, then she becomes defensive, and I just don't know what to do with that.
You can validate without
help her. I want to help her, but if I try to do that, it becomes more tricky.
No, you can validate her. You don't have to believe it, though. You know, you can have compassion for your mother. You can see that she's suffering. You can validate her story without buying one bit of it. And you're doing that out of empathy for her. But the moment you buy it, she's already lost. Now you buy it, you're also lost.
So when I feel like, okay, one thing I notice in myself is that when I'm present, I feel good. I mean, I know I can manifest something. I want to do something. It's a fresh energy. But when I listen to people around me, and because everyone have their sad story, and when they start saying that, there is something in me that says, I want to help this person. I want to do something about it. And the moment I try doing that, I just realize I have become them, and I've lost myself in that.
How can you help people if you're just as lost as they are? And the moment you buy the story, you're just as lost as they are.
I think I'm absolutely lost in their story, and it's my mind's way of telling me, okay, you can do this. That's fine. You're fine right now, but this person is suffering. You can do something about it.
No. What you're dreaming. You're dreaming. You've gone into a dream and you're believing it. You're lost, and nothing's happening. It's just a story, but you're lost in a dream, the same as the person who's telling you the story is lost in a dream. Now there's two lost people.
Yes. So, right.
See, I need to talk to you about this. Look, I worked as a psychotherapist for nearly 10 years, and I got a constant sad stories, because that's why people come to psychotherapists, because they're unhappy. Now, if I had bought their sad stories, because they come because they're lost, they're in pain, they don't know their way out, right? Now, if I buy their sad story, I'm just as lost as they are.
Yes.
How can I help them then?
So there is this thing when I know what you're saying, but when I listen to anyone, I'm not specifically saying my mother, in their the way they are saying it, when I actually attentively listen to them, I can almost feel, okay, that's where they are stuck. But if I try to input anything and I say, hey, this, I think it's, let's just say you saying this is also already blaming. and it's not helping you one bit. The moment I say something like that, especially my mother, she becomes defensive. And,
yeah, but why do you want to
when
do
it
that?
kind of protects me.
I don't understand why you'd want to do that.
So you're just saying when someone is telling their story, you just keep on listening to it, and don't have to really give your input in that.
You can just acknowledge that you've heard them, because people love to be heard. And when they feel they're not heard, they get hurt. And so someone's telling you a sad story, you can say, yeah, I've heard you. I hear you. Something like that. So they feel heard. You're not necessarily agreeing with them. You're not entering the story. You're just saying that you've listened.
Right. Yes. I feel that this old pattern in me of trying to help people is almost like a trap in my head, because I'm mostly attracting people who are suffering around me these days. And that
Look, the whole world is suffering. Don't worry. Everyone's got a sad story, because everyone's on a cross somewhere. But you don't have to buy it. You don't have to get caught in the dream if you don't want to. You're choosing to get caught in the dream. And then you're justifying being caught in the dream.
Interesting. Yes, I guess I'm going to practice more what I'm constantly doing. I feel comfortable in that. I feel when I go to sleep, I'm constantly aware of my breath. And I see myself dreaming. I mean, the thoughts come inside my head, and I can almost see them. When I lose awareness of my breath, I have started dreaming. And it happens in like a flip of a second. Last night, I went, lay down on the ground right next to my bed. And within 10 seconds, I was dreaming, and I saw that, wow. I mean, I saw my ex in my dream, and she was talking to me. Where did she come from? And I wasn't even thinking about her throughout the day. And it's funny, like, how do, I mean, I can see myself getting out of this, but yes, mind has a lot of intensity with it. And it's not easy to deal with it. It feels like a lot of pressure. Like it's a constant awareness, constant and constant.
Whatever you practice, you'll get good at. If all you practice is dreaming, which is what most adults practice, that's all you're ever good at. If you practice present moment awareness to what is real, you get good at it, but only because you practice it.
Yes. Yes, that makes sense. Thank you, Vishrant. I think today I don't have more complaining questions. It's mostly like I'm more. It's better.
Look, I hear it. I hear a lot of suffering. People suffer. They do suffer, but it doesn't help really to be a victim of it ever, because that just creates more suffering.
Yes. Yeah. So we have to take responsibility that, okay, even if someone else is suffering, I have to take responsibility. I don't need to suffer. I can just listen to them and just keep on my things.
Don't buy the dream. They're just dreaming at you, and they're telling you their dream. You don't have to buy it, because it's not actually happening right now anyway.
Yes.
If it's happening right now, you can do something physically about it, but it's not happening right now. It's a dream. It's not real.
Yes. But sometimes I feel like when I listen to people, I can almost see that they are creating their suffering. I mean, and I do that many times.
Yeah, you
but
do.
when something terrible happens in their life, I almost feel that if they were to know that they are creating this suffering, and this event that happened in their life is actually the manifestation of their old habits, kind of brings aggression in people. People get crazy because they just realize that they have been wasting so much time of their life. And
I think our conversation has come to an end today.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I'll come something with better next time.
Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you, Vishrant, as well. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. You too.
The next question is from Sarah.
Hello, Sarah.
Hi, Vish. I've been practicing observing the breath, but with that also the mantra of I am, I on the in breath, am on the out breath. Would you say that that is more or less beneficial than just observing the breath?
Look, I never really supported that particular methodology. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. It may work. It's just not something that I found worked for me. So I only teach people what worked for me because I know it works. So I don't know if the I am on the in and out breath works. I just don't know. I'm not into entertaining the mind, and I would find that entertaining the mind, because you're using the mind to say I, then you're using the mind to say am. I'd rather not use the mind at all. I'd rather just witness the whole thing. So you're witnessing the breath coming in, you're witnessing the breath going out. You're just witnessing. You're not doing anything else. You add the I and am in, you're doing something. I'm not in favor of doing anything. Witnessing works. The only thing that I am in favor of is self-inquiry. Who's aware of the breath? Who's aware of this? That I advocate. But look, it may work. It's just not my experience.
Sure. Yeah, I wondered that because, the breath being real, yet you're actually applying thought to it. That was the confusion there. But I have found
that's how I
that,
see it.
yeah, I have found that somewhat quicker to identify thought when it comes in by applying the I am.
I used to just watch the breath.
Sure.
And I found that works. And thought comes in, you discount the thought and come back to the breath.
Sure.
I don't think anyone has ever said learning this stuff is easy, because it's not.
No.
It would have been easier for us to learn it when we were children, before we went to school, because we were already very present then. But after we've been to school for 12 years or however many years, we're very entrenched in dream. Is there anything else, Tal?
No. Thank you.
Nice to talk to you.
You too.
The next question is from Angel.
Hello, Angel.
Hello. Vishrant, how do we listen and tune into you?
So the words affect the mind because they mean something, and there's an understanding that happens in the brain. But under the words, there's a current. And this current is the current that is created when awareness is aware of itself in a human being, commonly called a Buddha field. Now, whenever someone who's awake talks, there is this undercurrent of energy in the words. And so you can tune into that energy field, and you're starting to tune into something that'll expand your mind, open your heart, and give you clarity, and has the potential of even waking you up. The words themselves don't do much. They're just knowledge, really. And knowledge is the booby prize in the game of higher consciousness. Tune into the energy field. Let it take you. Surrender to it. Die in it. Find yourself as it. In that energy field, it is easier for awareness to find itself. Just let go, let go, let go. I found myself in the energy field of my teachers as the universe. What they were saying wasn't important. The energy field they were carrying, the Buddha field, that was important. That is satsang. You can collect knowledge by going to a library. Most libraries have all the old masters' works. It doesn't help. What helps, really helps, is being in the presence of someone who's awake. Satsang. Thank you for satsang. Good to see your brave hearts here today.